Hello, friends, and welcome to the Tavern Watch Murder Mystery Hour. There will be thrills, there will be chills, there will be more than a little amount of sass, but most importantly, there will be murder. Join us as our intrepid adventurers are in for the ride of their lives on the Eberron Express.
Hello and welcome to another Tavern Watch Plays. Today we are playing Dungeons & Dragons, the 2024 edition, but we're playing a kind of unusual game. We're playing a murder mystery titled Murder on the Eberron Express. If you enjoy it, you can pick it up yourself on the DM's Guild, but as you might guess, our story is set in Eberron, where we are traveling on the magnificent Eberron Express, a lightning train that takes us from Sharn all the way to Fairhaven. And we have an amazing cast of characters who will be joining us on this luxurious train. All of you are currently milling about on the platform, waiting to be invited aboard by the conductor. And I'd like everyone to introduce themselves at this point. Let's start with, so tell me who you're playing and give me a description of what you look like. Let's start with Anne.
Hi, I am playing Orchid Valence. She is a tiefling because I am nothing if not predictable. She's got really dark brown, glossy, well-coiffed hair. It looks like she had some kind of blowout, if that actually exists in this world, and it doesn't. But she looks great, right? Skin is like this dark, dusky pink that is leaning almost towards a muted red, and she's got these startlingly green, emerald green eyes. Very curvy, very buxom, very aware of how good she looks at all times. And if she catches anybody looking at her, she makes sure that she's giving them the best possible angle because she's a prize and she knows it. That's all.
Okay, let's go to Joan.
I am playing Treya Bakker. She's got very dark brown skin. Her hair is short, not quite military fashion, but like she's been growing it out for a while and just kind of braids part of it to keep it out of her face. She wears an outfit that sort of has a military feel to it too, but it's fancier than that. And she has an eye patch over one eye.
Okay.
Is she human or?
Yeah, sorry, she's human.
Cool.
And now let's go to Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe Perez, and I will be playing Celeria, and she is a very frosty character with raven dark hair, pale skin, eyes as blue as ice. She is wearing a very smart suit, very prim, very proper, very doesn't care what anybody else is doing. She definitely has the Fey heritage about her, as you can see. Sharp points of ears, maybe tucked beneath the raven blackness of her hair. What her true nature is, what she's doing here, it doesn't matter. She's not going to tell you anyway.
And Matt.
Hi, I'm playing Count Jarn. It's very hard to tell at first what she is. She's 6.5 feet tall and extremely muscular, but her proportions are a little weird. Like, she looks mostly human, like you'd think she was a human, but she kind of has the slightly pointed ears of a dwarf, and her build is more like a dwarf's. If you look long enough, you realize she looks like she's a 6.5 foot tall dwarf, but at the same time she looks human. Her eyes are very bright green. In her way, she's charming. She's very empathetic. Like, she cares about people more than she likes to admit, but she has an extremely gruff demeanor, and she clearly spends a lot of time working. This is somebody who has spent most of her life in a forge. She does have a bit of a military bearing. She was in the army during the last war, but mostly served as a blacksmith. She didn't do a lot of fighting. She looks very out of place here. She's wearing kind of a green leather jerkin over a green top, and over a black top, and black leathers riding leathers on her legs, and she's got multiple weapons. Like, she's absolutely covered in weapons. She has a sword, an axe, another axe. But she doesn't seem to be using them. She's not wearing them because she's like loving to like attack people. They're almost like security blankets. Like she seems very furtive, not furtive, but like repressed or alarmed. Like she's constantly looking around, like, why am I here? Who are all these people? How did I end up in this situation? Kind of look to her.
Yeah, you're definitely a little bit out of place. There is a second place car a little further down, but even there, people getting in the train are pretty well to do. It's not cheap taking a ride on the Eberron Express, and everyone on this end of the train is certainly pretty well dressed and carrying themselves like they're an important person. So, let's see who else is on the platform. Nick, would you describe your character?
Yeah, hi. I'm Nick, and I am playing Talis today. Talis is a human with a very, very slight build, kind of almost scrawny. Average height, but he hides his scrawniness with a very well-dressed wardrobe. Currently wearing a dark blue tunic with a black overcoat. And trousers with a very nice set of boots on, well groomed, with a clean shaven face, hair slightly tied behind his back, or to the back shoulder. The hair is about shoulder length if it's not tied. Very well to do, and the attitude, certainly, while it's not overly entitled, there's just a very, very slight snobbish air about him. And he is currently thumbing through a book as he waits on the platform.
And Phil.
Sure. I am playing Jindaar, who I believe might clock in as the biggest of the group at 7'7". Jindaar is a Goliath. I'm just going to gush a little bit about the new Goliath lore from the 2024 edition. It's actually really nice. They're finally not just vaguely giantish, they are giant descended. Jindaar bears the marks of having storm giant ancestry. He has kind of a almost like steely blue skin, kind of light gray tattoos looking like kind of like swirling clouds on his, mostly on his scalp, because Jindaar is... his head is shaped bald, but he has an extremely elaborately braided black beard. Wears kind of a nondescript, kind of a white and blue robe ensemble. If he moves, though, you can kind of hear the telltale jingle of armor underneath. And has a small symbol that, say, probably the dwarf would recognize the dwarfish would recognize the most. He is a member of a fraternal soldier brotherhood.
I do actually read giant.
There you go. This case was more your soldier background, but got it. Cool. So, yeah.
All right, then. Well, and there is also one more person standing on this platform. Well, two more people on the platform. One of them is Egan Bakker, and all of you're really here because of Egan, for various reasons, though not all of you may be aware of it. Egan is a well-known artificer and weaponsmith, and he made his fortune during the last war. But he's got some complicated relationships, which we're probably about to find out more about. And he also has his loyal retainer, a slim man who he kind of fades into the background. So, and the conductor comes out to the front of the train and starts welcoming you all aboard. He's a tall orc with green-gray skin, and his hair has kind of started graying. Very neatly dressed in the livery of the Eberron Express, a dark blue uniform with gold brocade. The train itself is a shiny blue, ready to go. He escorts you aboard, and as he does, he is going to search you for weapons and magical items and confiscate them. They are not going to be allowed in the passenger cars, but will be locked up for the duration of the journey. Now, you all knew this. This is part of coming on the train. But if you want to sneak something on, you can give it a try by rolling a sleight of hand check or give me a reason to roll something else for it. Let's start with you, Orchid.
Oh boy, hang on one second here. Sorry, my sheet wasn't on. You said slate a hand check?
Yes, and it's for any magical items or weapons you are carrying on board. If you have a large weapon that can be obviously seen, I'm sorry, that's just not going to work.
Oh yeah, no, she's got a short bow that she hands over like immediately.
Mhm.
She does
Okay.
have a really ornate kind of it looks like a hairpin, but it's not. It's a
Mhm.
dagger. And
Okay.
she's gonna try and get that past people. And then she
Okay.
also has it's a very pretty sparkling gem that's set in a necklace right on the décolletage, right? That it looks like a fancy piece of jewelry. And that one she's going to she's basically, can I use deception to kind of like tell them, oh yeah, the rest of this is bauble.
You can. Are either of these items magical?
The gem is
Okay. So make a roll.
for deception. Okay.
Yes.
That's a 17.
So you can keep the dagger, but he finds the gem. He waves a wand in the air, which you magically inclined may be able to guess that he has a wand of magic detection. And he says, "Pardon me, ma'am, but we do not allow magical items on, and that includes the gem. It will be
What?
safely locked up for the
What?
duration of the journey."
What are you talking about? This is magic.
I'm
present.
sorry, madame. I am extremely sorry, but we cannot allow magic items on the train.
But this
He
isn't.
gives the wand a wave again. This is clearly a magical object. It will be kept safely stored in the cargo hold and locked away.
But what am I supposed to wear? I mean,
Madame,
I don't even know do you know what it does? Because it's just a pretty, like, thing that I was given, and it matches my outfit. Are you sure I can't keep it? And then she, like, kind of bats her eyes.
I am quite positive. You look beautiful without it, and he gives a little half bow.
All right. She hands it over.
It will be returned at the end of the journey, I assure you. It will be kept safe, just out of the passenger cabin.
All right. I'm going to
So,
have words with the person who gave that to me. They didn't tell me it was magic.
let's see. Joe, I don't know how to pronounce your character name.
Celeria.
Celeria. Okay. Celeria, you are next on the platform.
I'll hand over all the weapons without problem. The gem inset on my neck, I'm going to try to kind of deceptively shield from whatever prying eye he has or is trying to do, because I'm going to try the same ploy, which is funny that Anne was going to do that already, because I had already had that thought in my head for this, because I think we have the same item. So yeah, I'm just going to just kind of not sleight of hand it, but just kind of move in a way where it's kind of like out of immediate line of sight or out of immediate notice, trying to do like a deception check to sort of kind of get it past his eyes.
Yeah, give me a deception check.
Nope, that ain't gonna do it. It was on an 18, then it rolled over to a 2, of course. Of course.
Yeah, and I have a dice here that is rolling very hot tonight, I'm afraid. So, the conductor says, "I am sorry, sir, but magical gems are included in the items that we do not accept aboard the train cabin."
And as he says that, I stare at him. "Who are you calling sir?"
I am very sorry, madame. Man, Joe, you're throwing me off tonight.
"This affront will not be forgotten. I will be having words with your employer." And she very coldly hands it over to him. And as she does so, just a little bit of a nip of frostbite across her fingertips to his hand. Since I can do that, and I feel like it, I'm going to just make him regret, one, misgendering me, and two, taking my item.
He sort of winces for a second, but he covers it pretty well. So, next up, let us see Matt with Kaljarn. Oh, I'm so bad with names.
Okay, all the weapons I'm going to give away.
Mm-hmm.
But you told me I had a jerkin, which I'm assuming is my jacket.
Yes.
Is
if
that
that's
technically
how
magical?
you want it. If it is magical, then yes.
Okay, I am going to attempt to simply distract him by handing him all my weapons. So I guess sleight of hand or deception. What do you want for that?
Let's do sleight of hand.
I'm going to use this because I don't know where my dice are. It's not rolling. How do I make it roll? Seriously, how do I make it roll?
You just click the thing. You click the number. Well, the plus over the plus modifier, you should just be able to click on it.
It's
and
not
should
doing
roll.
it. Let me see if I've messed up the dice rolling. I don't want to have to go get my dice. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to make this complicated.
Everything's always complicated. That's just how it is.
Okay. I think maybe hopefully this fixed it. It changed the size of everything, so I'm going to hope it did. No, it's still not rolling anything. Oh, no, wait. It just did something. Sorry, my computer seems to be having a hard time with their auto roller.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to resolve.
I'll note
It's
that
thinking.
due to the way D&D Beyond does its dice.
There it goes.
Okay.
there goes.
That's a 16.
Yeah, if you're on a less powerful computer, it's going to be terrible to roll.
So, yes, the conductor, you kind of shove all of these weapons at him and his hands are full. And he's like, yes, thank you. He's
My mother
trying to play
made
it
that
cool,
sword.
but I will be extremely careful with it. Extremely
I would
careful.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Do not be concerned by it.
Oh,
And
I
yes,
am extremely concerned by it. It is the last thing I have of hers.
I understand. Will be kept safe and locked away.
And I just lean back.
And he hands all of this to a steward, who is actually a fairly tiny gnome, who sort of bows under the weight of it and then waves her hand, and they're all pulled up in a teleportation spell, carefully held, and she starts carrying them off to the cargo hold. So, next we have... There are so many of you. Next we have Talis.
Talis steps up and hands over. It's not a lot. It is just a quarterstaff and 2 daggers, but he is also in possession of his spellbook, and I would assume that that's inherently magical by nature since it has a tome with everything.
No, I think he would allow you to keep your spellbook. It's not the spellbook that's magical. It's you. You who have learned the magic.
Okay, and that'll be it. I will give him a polite nod as I step onto the train.
Okay, and let's go to Jindaar.
Sure. Jindaar unclasps the mace that has been very obviously hanging at his side and kind of sets it on the platform with a thump, and leans into the conductor and says, "My good man, do you have a ready source on board of anointing for religious practices?"
That can certainly be arranged. And he gives a wave to the steward, who, again, the little gnome, who runs off across the platform to go and fetch something.
I'll nod and laugh. Like, good enough then, and unclasp the alchemy jug hanging at my other waist and hand that to him as well before he figures out its magic. And then that should be all the goods I need to declare.
Okay, well, in everyone goes. All of you, you were directed to...
Wait, did you get...
Didn't get
Treya?
me. I'm sorry. And, Egan and his retainer, and of course, I'm so bad with names today.
Treya.
Treya have been kind of milling behind everyone, and Egan shoos you ahead first, Treya.
Treya's armed.
I don't know.
I'm asking.
Treya takes off the sling that holds her pistol under her coat and sets it down. There are some items that are supposed to be in my cabin which look like they're magical, so I'm going to stick my other magic item in that. I'm assuming it's probably lead-lined or something.
Okay. Give me
see
a
those?
give me a deception check.
9.
Well, I actually rolled really badly for that one. So he waves you along with your personal possessions. Again, a steward.
Also, I have some daggers that are hidden inside my belt.
So
should I
nothing
roll
bigger,
separately?
like no long sword, no battle
No.
axe, nothing like that. Okay.
Should I roll
yes.
separately for the knives? All right.
Yeah. Just to
That
see
is
how
22.
well you've hidden them.
They're
Yes,
just like the
indeed.
belt is the sheath.
He does not find them in his search, so carry on. You may go aboard. And at last, Egan, whom all of you know, comes up to the door of the train, blustering. Egan has a pistol on his hip, and it's a very fancy thing. And he talks to the conductor, quietly, whispered, and is allowed aboard as he is. He's followed, of course, by his retainer, who is searched as well, and walks in after him. So each of you are given a cabin on the train. I have sent you a map of the layout if you want to take note of where everyone is positioned. Matt, you have cabin 1. Then, I am trying to keep everyone's name straight. There are so many of you. Anne, you have cabin 2.
Good.
Nick, you have cabin 3.
Okay.
Phil, you have cabin 4. Joan, you have cabin 5 with, of course, Egan. And Joe, you have cabin 6. And 5 and 6, most of the first class passengers are in their own cabin, but there is a second car that is half first class cabins and partially galley and service area. So the first 4 of you are together, kind of in a large cabin, not together in the same cabin, in a car with separate cabins. Everything is ridiculously luxurious. Everything is gilded in gold. The upholstery is plush, dark, rich blue. The cabins are luxuriously appointed. Everything laid out perfectly. And as you all go to see your cabins, the steward does come up to you, Phil, and present you with a jug of oil.
Well, thank you, my good man. I'll assuming it's probably about the same size as the alchemy jug. I'll just clip it to my belt where that one used to be.
Yes, and it is a small gnome who is kind of struggling with trying to carry it.
Oh, I'll tip the gnome.
And they bow, thank you, and vanish off into the rest of the train. So here you are. It is about 3 days of travel, and the lot of you all have. You've had whatever kind of conversations and relationships on this train that you would like. You have been traveling for 2 days. Is there anything? Yeah, this is going to be a little freeform. In this first 2 days of travel, are there any conversations you would like to have? Is there anything you would like to do? During this time, Egan has been, frankly, kind of insufferable. He's been a lot of bluster. He is heading here to try and get an acceptance into a house, which he is sure will bring him fame and acceptance that he has wanted. He has also invented a new pistol, which he loves to show off. It is a demonstration of his great genius, and it is going to bring him more wealth than anything he has made before, which he loves to brag about. This is his thing. So is there, as we are here, is there anything y'all would like to do during these first couple of days of travel?
Well, I actually want to get him alone at some point when I can do this without too many other people seeing it. I understand his wife will probably be there, and his retainers and guards and all that sort of thing. But
his wife basically sticks close to his side as often as possible.
Yeah, but I still would want to try to get him at least alone enough to ask him the one question I want to ask him.
You do know that he has a bodyguard, but his bodyguard is warforged and is actually sitting unactive in the cargo hold for the duration of the journey.
Yeah, it doesn't, I'm not concerned about that kind of thing. I just don't want to have a big audience.
Yeah, I'm, maybe roll stealth to see if you can kind of sneakily approach him when he's alone.
I went and found my dice because I'm not doing that again. It almost broke my computer. Okay, stealth.
And Treya,
natural 20.
Would you roll perception to see if you can beat that?
That's going to be a 26. Natural 20 on the roll.
Well,
also a natural 20, but only a 21 total.
Oh boy, the dice are hot at the table tonight. Okay, so Calzern does manage to kind of sneak in at a moment when Egan is on his own and pull him aside for a conversation.
I don't even need to pull him aside. Like, I'm not trying to drag him out of the way. I just don't want like a million people staring at me while I ask this.
You've found your moment.
How tall is he?
Average human height, probably about 6 feet.
So he's a head shorter than me. That's fine. I just wanted to know. Excuse me.
Yes.
Why am I here? You didn't believe me when I came to see you, and then suddenly I'm invited on this.
Well, I wanted to get to know you a little better, to see what kind of relationship we might have.
And then for 2 days we don't talk? It's kind of difficult to get to know someone that way, isn't it?
Well, there's always dinner. There's always opportunities to talk, and I will say that everyone does have dinner in the dining car together, and Bakker does tend to try and dominate the conversation. there are a lot of conversations that are more about him. And you get the impression he may not actually notice that.
Well then, since we're currently one-on-one, I'd like to ask me.
I'm pleased you decided to join me. I think there may be great opportunities for both of us in Fairhaven.
I start scratching at my shoulder while he's talking, where the mark is. Although it's hidden, it's underneath the jacket, the jerkin. Do you know about this?
I do suspect. And possibly there are things we could do together.
You know, I served in Sharn when the war was high. I saw Kenneth crafters working. I even spent a turn in what's now the Mornland.
Indeed, I've seen your record. Have you thought about having a workshop or a smithy of your own one day? Something beyond the war. Something. What are your plans after? What are your plans now?
I had thought to switch to something a little less aggressive. There's not a lot of call for plowshares in Sharn.
We will see how it develops, won't we? But
I'm sure it'll develop in a way that'll suit you.
If you stick with me, there is certainly room for opportunity. And he's
I shrug
frankly,
a little, like my whole body kind of shifts backwards. I'm like, I'll take no more of your time.
I mean, whenever you've tried to talk to him, he's been a little cagey. You have noticed that he's been keeping an eye on you and just sort of watching your reactions and interactions with everyone. But whenever you've managed to talk to him, whether his wife is there or not,
he doesn't say much. Yeah.
He doesn't say much. He talks a lot, but he doesn't always say a lot.
No, he's one of those people. I understand.
Yeah, he's exactly one of those people.
I'm going to bow slightly to both him, and I'll make a point of bowing slightly to his wife to indicate that I acknowledge her as his wife. And then
she nods politely in return.
I'll take my leave. So I guess I'll see you at dinner. And then I head off.
Anyone else want to jump in? Something you have done in the last 2 days on the train.
I actually have two other people I want to talk to, but I'll wait to see if I come with stuff.
Let's do a circle around.
I think
Orchid.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, Orchid takes every opportunity to basically get as much information from, just ask him endless questions about this weapon that he's built and how it works. Very impressed by it and wants to know all of it.
He is thrilled to talk about it. It is a pistol, very compact, but it uses magic so that it is almost completely silent. It is a miracle of technology, and he believes that he's designed it in such a way that even people without any kind of magical abilities can harness this power. He thinks it is certainly the defense for the future, and he kind of hints that, maybe the piece is not as set as it might seem, and people will always
When you say
guns.
set, as finished as it could be, or
yes,
it's still a prototype?
That piece is tentative.
No. Yes, the piece in these nations is a little piece. Yes, is a little tentative, and you never know when you might need a good weapon or a good weaponsmith.
You meant the piece as in the gun is a piece. Anyway, sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Whenever
she's basically just
whenever Orchid
hanging
is,
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Treya is just giving you this icy stare the whole time.
She is flat out ignoring you. It's like you don't exist.
That's awesome.
Yes, and certainly Egan is happy to have Orchid hanging on his arm occasionally. He does certainly acknowledge his wife. He doesn't ignore Treya, but there's definitely a coolness there. And he doesn't do a lot to hide that Orchid is some object of his current affection.
So I think Celeria would sort of just be mostly people watching at this point and trying to keep an eye on Egan, seeing what his current obsessions are, seeing what is currently occupying his focus, and seeing if there's any glint of recognition of what he owes her. And then I think maybe when she sees the coolness towards his wife, that I believe Celeria, no, without saying anything, would have a cocktail or something special whipped up with an extra frosty appearance and sent to his wife.
Now, certainly over dinner and conversations, Egan has been not shy to talk about how he's heading to Fairhaven to meet with the Baroness of House Cannith, Jorlana de Cannith. And he will certainly be accepted here, be welcomed into the house. Something that he's strived to do back in Sharn unsuccessfully. And there have been rumors swirling about why he can't get the attention or the acceptance of the Baron there. Some of you get the impression that maybe he's a little self-conscious about this. But he does like to brag about how he's going, and he will be certainly part of this grand house.
Oh, Celeria knows him.
Yeah.
She knows what type of man this is.
And I will say, anyone who followed politics in Sharn, kind of the politics of the houses, knows how disliked he is by the Baron there.
Real quick, just wanted to get in on over the few days. While I think Talis would have spent a majority of the time on in Egan's orbit, just far enough out of acknowledgement range to not get drawn into the conversation. But something about Talis is that he always has his book with him, but he's always writing something down as well, or at least whenever people on the train see him. And there are times where, as Egan is talking about himself and, boasting, and bragging as much as he can, the mask slips a little bit, and where the contempt of whenever Egan speaks is very apparent on Talis's face.
And Egan certainly recognizes you, though a little contemptuously, but Egan is good at holding kind of that air of charm and geniality. So he never attacks anyone or is cruel outright, but he's not exactly nice to you. He does recognize everyone on the train, and certainly wonders why some of you are here, but he hasn't asked or pried. He does keep an eye on what everyone is up to, though.
I think if at some point during those 3 days, maybe after she sends a drink to the wife, Jindaar has a chance to approach Celeria. He'll just kind of sidle up, maybe a drink in hand. I'm picturing at the train bar, maybe, and just kind of looks at her for a second. Because, pardon me, madam, I don't mean to intrude. Do I know you from somewhere? You just look so familiar.
I thought it was really good role playing.
She the coldest of shoulders.
She just kind of glances at you and doesn't say anything and just goes back to her drink.
See, it was really good role playing.
It was. After an awkward pause, Jindaar will just kind of nod and say, my apologies, I must be mistaken, although it isn't too common to see a face like yours around. But, just kind of taps his head and says, guess my memory is getting fuzzy.
So, are there any other things you would like to do, conversations you would like to have, things you would like to ask Egan or do around the train? Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Anne.
So Treya, seeing that Egan is sort of unfriendly with Talis here, is going to go and introduce herself and ask what his name is and what book he's reading.
Politely, but not. It's a step before outright dismissiveness. Is he'll introduce himself. I'm Talis, and he'll give a slight bow, and just explain. As I'm not much reading this book. More, this is just my own personal set of notes. I like to write things down. It helps me remember.
That sounds fascinating. What sort of things do you write about?
Well, everything. Anything that catches my attention. I do have a strong interest in the magic or anything magical. But
a scholar of the magic arts.
Well, and just the vanity a little bit gets to him, and he blushes. Kind of says, Oh, thank you for noticing. I don't want to brag too much, but there's still so much to learn.
Treya's just gonna look like she's having the most amazing conversation and just kind of make sure that Egan notices.
Oh, he
Can I roll-
does.
Can I roll performance
Yes.
to yuck it up? Like really yuck it up?
Sure.
How
Sure.
much she's enjoying.
Oh yeah, I'll do it too. Watch me bomb this roll. 15.
You want to talk about bomb? I rolled a nat 1 and it's a 6. So total.
Oh no.
Howdy! Yes, we're having fun!
So I guess in this, to really try and show off, I'll try to cast a spell and it'll fail miserably.
Oh no.
Oh no, I poked myself in the eye.
I get
What kind of spell?
Talis will try and conjure the drink that she has in her hand. He'll try and conjure a very slight ray of frost to cool it with one of his fingers, just around the base of the glass. And unfortunately, for some reason, when he calls upon the arcane, it has flat out ignored him.
Oh.
I was hoping it just shattered the glass.
It was like just blasted across the train. Oops.
Well, I don't know which is funnier. Does it explode or does it
again! You've
does it
encased my
not show
hand
up?
in ice!
Oh man.
I'm
So
sure
if-
you'll get it
if-
next time, Gwen.
If you destroy it, that would actually give me a perfect entry jump in here.
Do it. It's a natural one.
Joan, would you roll perception for me?
All right. 11. That was an 11.
Okay. Okay. You don't notice anything.
Okay.
You do all notice that Egan is watching this out of the corner of his eye, and when Talis fumbles the spell, he just has the corner of his mouth quirks up.
I'm sure it will work perfectly next time, dear.
I don't understand. This never happened.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Well, Talis, I guess, retreats and goes straight to the bar, and he'll buy Jindaar a drink as well, and toast him. Here's to striking out.
That's actually interesting.
Huh.
I was
Jindaar
actually
kind of,
Jindaar is
not sure
someone-
what to make of that toast.
I wanted to talk to Jindaar, so
That's funny that the interpretation of social interaction was that I was being hit on.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think it takes Jindaar a second to realize that because he was definitely not hitting on the ice squeeze. Like, oh, that is what it looks like. Huh? He just downs his drink. And he says, "Young man, I've not even begun to swing."
yeah. At this point, I will walking over and basically stand slightly behind Jindaar and clear my throat.
Turn around.
So where'd you serve, big man?
Served in Skarn originally, but initially after that, after active service, kind of all over, and he kind of gestures at Egan and says, "We used to work together in a more, I was in a more, I guess, wide-ranging capacity. I'm kind of indicates this little somebody says, priest of the three faces, if you follow."
I know of, but
Yeah,
never
it's-
really prayed much.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, how about yourself?
I scarred some, did some work in Seer before it wasn't Seer anymore. Obviously, afterwards I didn't. Mostly smithing, repairing, patching. Not a lot of actual making. That's what they had the big boys for. I was just, I would go with the forces went. I was mostly serving Skarn.
Still good, honest work. Somebody has to keep everything running.
Eh,
May not be glory in it, but it's good work all the same.
It was better than where I came from. So.
And Jindaar kind of takes a drink and looks at everyone around. He says, "How? It seems a lot of us are acquainted with our good friend Mr. Bakker. How do you know him?"
He fucked my mom, and then abandoned us in the lower parts of Sharn. Sorry.
Nearly chokes on drink at that extremely straightforward answer. Well,
Then when I finally found out who he was after she died, I went to see him, and he didn't seem much interested in getting to know me, which I was fine with. I just not like I wanted to be friends or anything. I just was interested in where I come from. I turned to the bartender and go, "You got anything that'd knock a dwarf out?" I don't know if the bartender responds to this question.
The bartender, there's a chef that's been serving on this trip, Fire Ganassi with dark skin, who, of course, I can make anything you would like. And turns around, grabs some bottles, and, kind of artfully tumbling them, very fancy, pours a drink, which she hands to you.
I drink it. I basically try to take it in one go. I'm sure it is actually probably way stronger than I'm used to.
Give me a Constitution check.
Okay.
Or a Constitution saving throw. Let's do that.
Okay. Give me 1 second to find me. Okay. Well, keep in mind I have dwarf resistance to poison. So
it's
I don't know what that does.
Poison.
Okay.
No, I would say no.
All right. I'm just straight.
But you did ask for a drink that was gonna knock out a dwarf. So she
10
followed your orders exactly.
10 plus 6. Straight con save, it's a 16.
You think this fancy drinks are just not doing it for you? Because this actually feels kind of weak. I mean, she clearly did not understand the request. It tastes good, but it's not.
I just
not
put it
what
down.
You were asking
I
for.
put it down, nod, and say thank you, and then I turn back to Jindaar. So, I'm not good at talking to people.
I gathered that one. Go ahead.
Okay, you're huge, you're not bad looking, and I have daddy issues. How would you like to spend some time together in my cabin?
Can Orchid hear any of this?
I'm not being quiet about it. I'm not being loud about it either, but...
Assuming you were in the dining car, I mean, the dining car it's a good-sized train. Each car is about 60 feet long, but it's not like...
No, she's in the dining
It's
car
not like
with
there
everybody
are
else.
walls
Yeah.
here. Yeah, if you're lounging in the dining car and people are lounging at the bar, it's not like you can't hear them unless they're trying to be quiet.
Yeah, I'm not...
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not
Even
restraining
if-
myself.
She was not facing this conversation. She was sitting in a chair facing the other way. But as soon as that came out of her mouth, you see her straighten up and glance over her shoulder wow, okay, what's going... This is juicy.
Yeah, even Celeria cocks an eyebrow at that one.
Talis is much less obscure about his action and quickly coughs his drink out of surprise at the straightforwardness.
Oh, man.
Feel free to say no. I understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea. It's just that of all the men in this place, you are the only one I could imagine spending any time with.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, Jindaar is just going to toss back the rest of his drink, which I think was probably just whiskey neat. Just as well. You're bold. I like that. Let's go.
All right.
This crowd is boring anyway.
I mean, assuming he wants to come along, I'm heading to my car.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
On my way out, on my way out, I turn to the Talis there and go, and don't worry, little man. I'm sure somebody sooner or later will be charmed by that thing he was doing. That's because he does the cough and stare thing he
Orchid
did.
turns away, and her shoulders are shaking, but her face is unreadable. She's laughing, but you can't tell. She's being very polite about it.
A dumbfounded look on Talis's face. I can't believe of just what I've witnessed here. I don't have any words as I watch them walk off to go
Do whatever.
things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. I think there would have been a hushed, probably momentary silence as everybody just kind of watched as that occurred.
Mhm.
And I think even a small smirk cracks at the corners of Celeria's mouth.
And certainly Egan's in the train as well. And
Oh yeah, he noticed.
oh yeah, I mean, everyone noticed.
He was the person he intended to notice. Let's put it that way.
So here's a question for the DM. I know who that is, who Matt is. Does Egan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So yes, we'll not everyone will know this, but Matt's
This
character is
Metagame stuff, out of character stuff.
Yeah, Matt is the lost heir of Egan Bakker, who has recently reemerged. And Egan initially kind of rebuffed her and pushed her aside, but recently has shown an interest and invited her on this train ride with him to Fairhaven. He seems to believe will be a place of great opportunity and success.
I think that Celeria would take this opportunity then to try to catch Egan's eye
Mm-hmm.
and mouth, or at least indicate we need to talk. Like as demurely or as nonchalantly as possible. Not trying to draw too much attention from everybody else.
Very demure, very mindful.
Yeah.
He gives you a little kind of a very slight head tilt of a nod. And late that evening, I mean, if you allow him to carry on and wander off, late that evening after his wife has taken her sleeping draught for the night, he comes out and knocks on your cabin door.
Open it, don't say a word, turn around and take a seat. Wait for him to come in and close the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I see you're brandishing the child about now, eh?
Well, it might be of use to have an heir of my own. Someone, she might serve a role.
As does everybody, my dear.
You
do
understand.
you realize that a train ride does not clear your debt, correct?
So what is it you would like?
Well, to put it bluntly, I would like to be repaid. While the child is blunt, I am very confident that House Cannith would be interested to know the path with which it took for that child to become your heir. I have it on good authority that they are very invested in you. 'Twould be a shame. 'Twould be a shame if they were to second guess themselves. She coldly swishes a bit of evening cognac in a tumbler and just kind of waits, looks at him expectantly.
You're blackmailing me then.
Oh dear, that's such a horrible name for it. Let's call it changing the stakes of our agreement. One I would like to remind you that has been many decades past due. I've been very gracious to this point, I believe.
He gives you kind of, there's a half smile. He's certainly seems amused by the conversation in a way. Well, once I am part of the house, perhaps I'm above this machination.
Oh, you would love to believe so, darling. But getting in with a house is, what is that to a queen? Double our original agreement. If this invention of yours is as wonderful as you say it is, you should have no problem with that whatsoever.
Our original agreement.
Our original agreement. Let's not forget where the money for the child's mother came from. I certainly have not.
Very well. And he seems, outwardly calm, even kind of cocky about this. But you have known him for a very long time. You have cleaned up a few messes he's left on his wake. And you can see there's a little nervousness behind this.
And need I not remind you that making a deal with one of the Fae is, well, binding even without paper. Please do be so kind as to remember that.
I need no reminder.
And one last thing. Treat your wife with a little more respect and kindness, wouldn't you? It's unbecoming of a man that wishes to be part of House Kenneth. Appearances, darling, appearances.
She will stand by my side, as I need.
Yes, but cracks in the armor, dear. You don't want others to know.
He gives you a hard look and walks out.
And she smiles as she uses Mage Hand to close the door behind him.
So, is there anyone else who wants to have some juicy, dramatic moments before we get on to the next day?
Me?
Yeah. The
I'm in
cabin this conversation took place.
Cabin 6.
Which is back
Different
near
car
the
than
galley.
mine. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Fine. So just for funsies, Orchid's going to see if she can get to the cargo area undetected.
Okay, give me a stealth roll.
14.
So you can't, you definitely cannot get through the second class cabin. You would have to pass through the second class cabin to get, you'd have to pass through the galley and the second class cabin to get into the cargo area. You can't do so completely unobserved because there are 10 passengers in second class. Well, and they all have large plush seats, but they have been, they've been here on the train sleeping. Not all of them are, they're up and about.
Okay.
So it is hard to dodge everyone's eyes. Certainly a couple of them take note of you, as you pass, but they
She's
don't.
She's basically acting like she's just taking a tour around the train.
Yeah, they don't. They don't try to interact with you, and no one tries to stop you.
Okay. Yeah, when she sees how many people are in second class, she's going to kind of like give it a look like, oh, it's me, and turn around and go back to her cabin.
Okay.
And I don't.
Any?
Does she have to go by cabin 6 on her way back to her cabin?
She would walk by cabin 6, but I will say the cabins are
Pretty soundproof.
they're soundproofed.
Okay.
They're not something you would just hear someone coming down the hall unless they're making a scene or yelling or stomping or anything like that.
It's supposed to be
As long as you're walking.
luxurious.
Yes. There's rich, thick carpet under your feet that muffles noise, thick walls and doors on all of the cabins.
I mean, as far as she knows, everybody is sleeping in that area anyway. So unless she heard something, she wouldn't pay it any attention and she wouldn't hear anything. So that's fine. She just goes back to her cabin. Possibly gives a discouraging look at whatever cabin is making a lot of ruckus right now.
Friends, I'm here to remind you that Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/blizzardwatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, a better chance at having your questions answered on our podcast of the queue, and an ad-free site experience. And due to your contributions, we're able to do fun shows and projects like this. So thank you very much from those of us at Blizzard Watch. Tune in next week for Murder on the Eberron Express.